Hi, welcome to Crunchweek, where we discuss the week's most interesting stories. I'm joined this week by my colleague Anthony Ha, and we're Skyping in my other colleague, Colleen Taylor, from home, as she is sick at home today. Welcome, Colleen. Hope you feel better.
Hi, thanks for having me. I'm feeling a little better, but it's
a lot of dedication to Crunchweek right there. It's beautiful.
So I want to talk about probably one of the biggest stories of the week, I'd say, Apple earnings this week. A miss on earnings. I guess it was a mixed bag. But Colleen, what do you think about the Apple earnings this week?
Well, we certainly had a lot of stories about the Apple earnings. If you haven't heard anything, you know, TechCrunch, it was a big day. We always cover the Apple earnings.
I think we had 18
such a big
posts.
appetite.
Yeah, 18 posts
about it.
Yeah.
It just seems like maybe the stock market has reacted in a really strong way. Our, writer Roman had written that it took the biggest drop that it ever had taken in a short period of time, something like 10% right away, right after the earnings. Opened the next day, like 12% down. So yeah, I think people are just a little worried that even though, as MG Siegler wrote that, the revenues are insane. It's like 50-some billion in revenues for a 3-month period of time is great by all standards. But it seems like people are worried that the growth is going to slow, that it's no longer going to be on this exponentially growing trajectory.
Yeah, Anthony, what's your perspective on the growth? Because from what my understanding is, this quarter was a little bit unique.
Right. Well, I'm definitely cribbing from MG here because I don't follow Apple stock as closely as he does. But what he said was that it was more that the first quarter last year, which is sort of where a lot of the comparisons are being drawn, had an extra week in it. Was a 13-week quarter rather than a 12-week quarter, and for that reason, everything kind of gets thrown off because obviously you have an extra week. All the numbers are going to be a little bit bigger, and so for that reason, growth may be slowing, but it's not necessarily slowing to the extent that it might look, initially.
Well, you also have to think like they went on this huge growth cycle with the launch of the iPhone, then the iPad, and they're not, while yes, growth may be decelerating, they're still having record numbers of iPads sold, iPhones sold. So clearly, like, there's a demand for Apple products, and the revenue shows that.
It does seem like one of those situations where it sort of illustrates the very particular and peculiar interests of Wall Street investors versus everyone else, and that, by all appearances, it was like a really good, quarter, but it just wasn't quite where, the analysts wanted it, and so it took this huge, crazy tumble.
Yeah, so today, where's the stock at right now?
I think Colleen was...
I was just looking, I think it's around 450.
Okay.
And it had gone up well into the 700s, within the past several months. And so it's a pretty big fall, but then it's also important to remember that it was 3 or 4 years ago. I think Apple stock was, below $100 a share. So, it's still doing pretty well. It's still really strong. I think another story from this week is how big of a focus China is going to be going forward in terms of somewhere that they're going to be selling things. This is the first time that they broke out China as a region in itself in terms of reporting revenues. So I think that's really something to watch. And if there is a growth sector for Apple, I think international sales, especially in China, is huge.
Yeah, and I think, Tim Cook has made a lot of commentary recently about how he feels like China is going to be one of the biggest growth areas for the company. And they already have two agreements with the two. They already have agreements with the two most with two of the biggest carriers, and the biggest one, I believe, China Mobile. They don't have that agreement yet, but there's been a lot of speculation that there could be an agreement formed soon, which would, place the iPhone and hundreds of millions more of subscribers. So, we'll see. That I think China could be a huge market for the iPhone going forward.
Yeah, and I think the other component of at least a lot of the discussion around the earnings was sort of about how much market share Apple has, how much it can grow, and whether the next big opportunity for growth is also in sort of doing a lower end smartphone, which everyone is talking about. There's certainly been no confirmation that that's happening, but I think that's certainly a direction. I think even on the call there was a question from an analyst being like, why don't you have cheaper smartphones? And Tim Cook basically said, I'm not going to answer that. But I think that I'm not sure. I don't know if I believe that that's a direction Apple is going to go in. I think that's a direction that Wall Street would like it to go in.
Right. Going forward, another big launch this week was Twitter's entry into video sharing with the launch of Vine today as an iPhone app, a standalone iPhone app, which is really interesting for Twitter. And basically what it does is have you can post 6-second, almost very, very short video clips of things that you want, and you can post to Twitter and to Facebook as well. And so far, the commentary has been pretty positive about it. I think there are a few hiccups, like some user accounts got crossed and people found themselves in other user accounts and all of that. But for the most part, the commentary has been fairly positive, I'd say.
Yeah, and it seems like I'm starting to see people actually post. I don't know what the word is for like an atomic unit. I guess would it be a Vine? You post a Vine?
You post a Vine, yeah.
Okay, yeah. I'm starting to see, some. I mean, they're all, they're only 6 seconds, so they're
really
there's not
short.
a lot to them.
Yeah.
I think what's interesting about this Vine thing also is that it's just been so stealthy in a lot of ways on the part of Twitter. I mean, this is the first real confirmation that I think that we've seen, on a large level that Twitter even acquired Vine. I mean, Vine was this super stealthy startup that never really launched to the public. You just heard about it in investor circles. Kevin Rhodes was posting Vines. MG was posting Vines.
Right. I remember
folks who were in the know had access. But then next thing you knew, it was rumored to have been acquired by Twitter. And it had been. And then a few days ago, Dick Costolo starts posting Vines on his Twitter feed. So I think it was a very interesting strategy that they've had even in just rolling it out.
Plus the fact that it was, a standalone app as opposed to something they incorporated into Twitter. I mean, one assumes that, if it does well, that's something they're going to do down the road. But the fact that they're letting it, they're continuing to operate it as its own thing is
yeah, it's
pretty
interesting.
Different.
It's like, are they testing this out and then maybe at some point seeing how much traction it gets and then integrating it into the user experience on Twitter.com or on its mobile apps. I don't know. We'll see.
Could you see yourself posting a Vine?
Well, I'm an Android user, so I can't post any Vines yet, which is sad. I'm sad about that. But it's a little short for my taste. Like, I'd want to post on my daughter, and I don't know if, like, I have a baby daughter. I don't know if she'd move that fast to
Although, if you're
actually
really honest, I feel
compelling.
like maybe 6 seconds is about how much people
enough?
want to see of babies.
Oh, really? Oh.
I don't know. That would be my.
Snap.
I mean, because it's like capturing the essence of the baby, and then you're done. You don't have to be like, okay.
So you just need the cuteness factor and not the actual action.
Right. You don't have to be like, okay.
Well, you should watch her clap her hands. It's actually really entertaining.
Okay. For about 6 seconds.
I like these quick 6-second videos. And anytime I've been on vacations, I like to just turn on the video button just for a second, just to capture something in motion. If it's a waterfall or some sightseeing thing that you're seeing. I like the idea of short videos, so I think it's cool that they've gotten on board with it. But we've seen Vidi and Social Cam and these other apps that haven't necessarily taken off, and they have the same short form video idea. So I'm a little on the fence as to how popular it's going to become.
Although this is, I mean, as I understand it, I mean, much shorter than what I think there was. I think Tout had an app that was like 12 seconds, or I'm probably getting the number wrong. But I think that this is really, in the way that I guess so, like Social Cam is like a blog post to like, this is like the tweet version of a video essentially, which is kind of what makes it kind of interesting. I think other people have tried it. It's not, but like they even haven't been as big as Social Cam. It's been like these other even smaller startups that haven't necessarily taken off yet, at least.
Yeah, well, I guess another sort of interesting twist to the story is that I guess, Twitter launched Vine Day and immediately Facebook cut off friend finding access. And All Things D had reported that. You know, they've been sort of in a little bit of a battle over Instagram and Twitter cards integration. So it's certainly, you know, seems like a little bit of a purposeful move on Facebook's part.
It seems strange too, just because on the one hand, you know, that Facebook is, you know, trying to become more of like this social layer and everything, and sort of have your you know, friend graph become an important part of the social experience on any site. But at the same time, Facebook recognizes that there's very specific value there, that they don't want to just give it away entirely for free, especially when they're, you know, when it's someone who's more of like a direct rival.
Right.
So it's, but it did seem, I think actually, Mike Isaac, who wrote the All Things D story, he had like a tweet earlier today saying, I can find my Facebook friends on Vine. I wonder how long that's going to last.
Yeah.
And it lasted for a couple of hours.
I guess we should move on to our last question. Last question. I'm sorry. I'm like brain dead right now.
You're moving into Quora mode.
I'm moving into Quora mode. Yeah, question and answer. So we are going to be talking about Quora launching its new blogging tool, which is really an interesting move for the question and answer platform. Anthony, what do you think about that?
I think it's just kind of a pretty smart and natural thing for them to do, actually. I think it was last month that you know, they kind of started hinting that they're going to expand beyond Q&A, and then Josh Constein wrote a post saying, well, they're probably going to go into blogging. That's what makes sense. And they have gone into blogging, and you know, it makes sense in the sense because you know, people are already posting all this long form content. And so it's like a really natural thing to start, you know, giving another layer for people to start building a following. And you know, what I think Quora was already trying to solve, and I think this is another step in the direction, is also the idea of these people who know a lot of, you know, are really smart, intelligent, good writers, but don't necessarily have a big following. They don't have a big platform like TechCrunch, and so that, you know, by creating a network where people can kind of discover this content. You know, that's what Quora has done already with the Q&A, and then with the blogging, the way it's supposed to work is so you can tag, you know, your content with different topics, and then it should show up for people who are following that topic, so you can find, you know, really smart content.
Which is really interesting, yeah, because you're finding more and more on Quora that there are, you know, these sort of thought leaders, even people like Sheryl Sandberg or Ben Horowitz or Mark Andreessen, who are contributing really amazing content, long form, and you'd have to think maybe, you know, this could be applied to a blog or in a blogging format.
Right.
You guys, it sounds to me like you guys have bought the Quora PR line, hook, line, and sinker. Thank you.
Well, I was going to say that it looks.
I disagree. I can see how you think that it makes sense, and that makes sense as a story. But I remember interviewing Quora, you know, a couple years ago, and their whole point was that blogging and just that blinking cursor, looking at you, you know, waiting for you to expound on something didn't make sense. That this Q&A thing was the real natural way to have conversations, and that was the whole point. So moving into just more standard blogging is a confusing move to me.
Well, there's certainly a lot of competition in the space. I mean, and one thing that it looked a lot similar to was Medium, which is a communications platform that was launched by Twitter co-founders Ev and Biz. So there's a lot of commentary about that.
Well, I think the interesting thing, I mean, I think you're probably right that we're probably giving, you know, that when a platform like, you know, when a company like Quora kind of moves in another direction, it's not necessarily just because it's, you know, an obvious next step. But I do think that what Quora is trying to get at, and what I think Medium is also trying to get at, is this idea of, you know, like blogging, but not blogging the way we think about it. I mean, in the same way that I think Tumblr has actually really succeeded, and it's not just about, you know, that the blank screen and like, I don't know how to, like, you know, do I need like to write this long essay? Well, no, I can just like put up something short. And I think that's another aspect of what I think both Quora and Medium are trying to like promote. I don't know, you know, honestly, I haven't, you know, tried blogging on either of those platforms yet, so I don't know how effective it is at that.
Well, I guess that's our cue to maybe go and try it out. But I just want to thank you guys all for joining me this week, and thank you for watching us, and tune in next week.